Have you ever noticed how the loudest voices often fade the fastest, but the quiet ones leave echoes that stay for a lifetime today? I want to share with you a story that reveals how silence, something so often ignored, can become the most powerful force in your life. Imagine a small town where life is simple. In that town lived a young man named Ion. He was known for being quick with words, always ready to argue, always eager to prove his point. Whenever someone challenged him, he would raise his voice, defend himself, and fight until he felt he had won. People respected his intelligence, but also kept their distance because his words could cut sharper than a knife. One day, an old wise teacher came to the town. His name was Master Rahim. People said he had traveled across mountains and deserts, learning from saints and scholars. When Ion heard this, he laughed. What wisdom could this old man have that I don't already know? I will go and challenge him. The next morning, Ion went to the gathering where Master Rahim was speaking. The crowd sat in silence, listening to the teacher's gentle words. Ion stood up and interrupted. "Old man," he said boldly, "if you are as wise as they say, then answer me this. What is the true measure of strength? Is it wealth? Is it knowledge? Is it power?" The crowd turned to see what the teacher would say, but to everyone's surprise, Master Rahim simply smiled. He closed his eyes, and for a long moment, he said nothing at all. The silence was heavy. It was uncomfortable. Ion felt embarrassed. "Did you not hear me?" he shouted. Still, the teacher remained quiet. The crowd began to whisper. Ion's face turned red. For the first time, his words had no effect. At last, Master Rahim opened his eyes and spoke softly. "My son, the true measure of strength is silence." Ion was confused. "Silence? How can silence be strength? Only the weak stay quiet." The teacher looked at him with calm eyes and said, "It takes courage to raise your voice, but it takes greater courage to hold it back. A loud man can shake the room for a moment, but a silent man can change hearts forever." These words struck Ion deeply, but his pride kept him from admitting it. He walked away, angry and restless. That night, however, he couldn't sleep. The way the old man had faced his challenge, not with anger, not with arguments, but with stillness, felt more powerful than any battle Ion had ever fought. Days passed, and Ion began to notice things he had never seen before. He saw how arguments in the marketplace only created more division. But the shopkeeper, who listened quietly, earned everyone's trust. He saw how children ran to their mothers, not because they shouted, but because they spoke gently. And he saw how Master Rahim's silence carried more weight than all the speeches he himself had ever given. One afternoon, Ion returned to the teacher. This time, he came not to challenge, but to learn. "Master," he said quietly, "teach me the power of silence." The teacher nodded. He led Ion to a nearby river. The water flowed steadily, creating a soft, endless sound. "Listen," said the teacher. Ion listened, but after a while, he grew impatient. "What am I supposed to hear?" The teacher smiled. "You hear noise, but you do not hear silence. Look deeper. Beyond the sound of the water, beyond the singing of the birds, there is a space, a stillness. That stillness is where truth lives." For days, the teacher trained Ion. He taught him to sit in silence, to breathe slowly, to let his thoughts come and go without chasing them. At first, it was torture. Ion's mind screamed louder than any crowd. But slowly, the storms inside him began to calm. And for the first time in his life, Ion felt peace. One evening, while sitting under a tree, Ion realized something powerful. All his life, he had been shouting to be heard, fighting to be seen. But in silence, he had discovered himself. He understood that silence wasn't emptiness. Silence was strength. It was clarity. It was the voice of wisdom that spoke when all others grew quiet. Weeks later, a conflict broke out in the town. Two groups were fighting over land, and the argument grew so heated that people feared violence. Both sides called for Ion, known for his sharp tongue, to settle the matter. They expected him to debate fiercely and choose a side. But when Ion stood before the angry crowd, he remembered the teacher's words. He stood tall, looked at both groups, and said nothing. The silence spread like fire. At first, people shouted, demanding he speak. But Ion remained calm, his silence unshaken. Slowly, the shouting softened. The people grew uncomfortable with their own noise. And then, a strange thing happened. The crowd fell silent too. In that silence, the anger began to fade. People looked at each other, realizing how foolish they had been. No one could explain it, but Ion's silence had done what no argument could. It brought peace. From that day on, Ion was no longer feared for his sharp words. He was respected for his quiet strength, and whenever people asked him about his secret, he would smile and say, "The most powerful voice is the one that doesn't always need to speak." My friends, silence is not weakness. Silence is control. It's the ability to rise above chaos instead of being dragged into it. It's choosing not to waste energy on arguments that don't matter. Silence is the space where wisdom, patience, and true strength grow. How many times have we regretted words spoken in anger? How many times have we made situations worse by trying to win instead of listening? But when we embrace silence, we create space for understanding. We allow truth to reveal itself. So, the next time life challenges you, remember Ion's story. You don't always need to shout to prove you're strong. Sometimes, the quietest response is the loudest answer. Take a deep breath, embrace the pause, and let silence guide you. If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Leave a comment with your own thoughts about the power of silence, because your story might inspire someone else. And if you want more stories like this, stories that awaken strength, remember, true power doesn't always roar. Sometimes true power whispers, and sometimes says nothing at all.